Hello and good evening. It is great to finally be back. Quick sound test 3, 2, 1. Okay, on this fine Sunday, July 30th, 2023, we finally returned to the show. I was MIA the last 2 days. I am sorry about that. Friday and sub Saturday. Meant to get to something at least. So Friday had the 12-hour physical day, very busy with that. And by the time I got back, pretty much exhausted, very busy day up since 3 a.m. And by the time I got back, chose just to play a few rounds of Hunt instead. Then yesterday, I went with a friend, went to Gold Mine Tour and such. Then I had a local musical, was very fun. Got to see that. But did not quite get to the stream after that. Then I had to take the family to the airport today at 6 a.m. basically too. So, it's very busy times lately. Sunday usually being off day, but because we missed the last 2 stream days, wanted to return to you here for a good time with Micro. We are finally picking up Micro Chapter 33 for this fine Sunday. Tomorrow we will get some Diablo 2, Skeletons in the Desert, and then Tuesday, I think we will get everything together and the Gladiator bring back down for better internet. We shall begin our 1250 stream celebration or such, just as we did 1000 stream with the better 720p internet. We will do the same here with 1250 or however many we have. Let's take a look how many streams we actually just still abbreviated at 1K. So I don't know exactly how many streams we've done, but for the most part it's somewhere around 1250 since we last streamed in April, those few months ago. It's more or less 250 since then. So let's go ahead and make this a good milestone, 1250 stream. That's decent celebration. I don't know, for 3,000 hours, how many hours? We'll just go ahead and call it 1250 stream celebration. So Tuesday, we shall get started, early. Hopefully everything good for that. We will get started with Hunt, enjoy the full Tide of Shadows, play a full day of Hunt, then show all the captures from the previous month of the event. Show all the captures on better quality too. After that, we play more Hunt daily, but we'll also get to maybe some more Baldur's Gate 3. Diablo for sure, probably Diablo 3 here. Better internet, be good for the cinematics, and that one last time Act 5. So we'll do Diablo 2 at home, the regular Wi-Fi tomorrow, and then bring the computer down here. Everything great for Diablo 3 later in the week, and then we can see what other adventures we'll get to, but mostly internet requirement. A lot of Hunt for sure because it is the end of the event, and we enjoy the good rain and appreciate it. Whether we're solo, we're quick play, we're duos, trios, it's all just for the fun of it. We never take it too seriously, but that is the main game when to play on good internet. We'll also get to some Chivalry 2 for sure. That is good for better internet as well. Play a good bit of Chivalry, some other single-player games, maybe back to Witcher 3, Red Dead. We did Wolfenstein last time, so probably don't need to get back to that quite yet. Darkest Dungeon can probably wait as well. We'll get to a little bit Diablo, but mostly save that for back to the show. We could get to a little Overwatch if we wanted to. Yeah, Witcher 3 is good. Maybe Gwent if we want to. Probably just main Witcher 3. Just thinking about, Dishonored, I guess, is good for now, but there's, a lot of things. We'll take a look at the library and make a good plan, day to day. But for the most part, it'll be a Hunt every day. Finish at least the Dark Tribute and challenges. We're going to finish the challenges Tuesday for sure because they reset Tuesday night, so we'll do that first thing. Once we get it all set up Tuesday, gonna bring it tomorrow night, so should have it all good to go straight early Tuesday morning. So look forward to that. Good things in the mix. Sorry for a rough appearance tonight. I'm gonna go swimming or other such shortly, but we got what we need. Yeah, it was a busy fair after all that physical day too. It was fun. Saw some other medieval things. Other friends going there now, but we are here back in the Dragon's Roost. Off day Sunday to make up for the MMI last 2 days. Just circumstances pretty much beyond my control. Very busy time. A lot of family, other friends, and other events and activities. But it's good to stay busy with that too. So apologize for Friday and Saturday being out of schedule. There's actually no way for me to cancel the schedule on the current Twitch loadout. It's just really hard to do that. So, there's no way to easily conveniently do it. Stress about it, but it's still worth a lot less effort, worry than it is to actually do that. So anyway, we'll do the vacation mode when we need to get back to that at some point. But for now, let us get to some Micro Chapter 33, see where we left off. One more quick test. We got a 3-2-1. Thanks to Gaming Grim Reaper for being our cheer of the month. Let's see if this works actually, I'm curious. Will this work on mobile? Probably not. Yeah, there's no stream elements there. Alright, I'll refund those later. Anyway, good to go. Yeah, seeing if one of the sound alerts would work for Dragon Standards channel rewards. Of course, mobile, you don't have the sound alerts elements. That's through, I guess, the either the chatbot or something else on the desktop. I'm not sure exactly where the sound alerts come into play, but yeah, it's not something I have on mobile currently. So yeah, it's not something I have on mobile currently. So yeah, it's not something I have on mobile currently. So okay, we're good to go. Let's get started. Okay, we're good to go. Let's get started. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you had a good weekend. Yeah, busy times, like I said. Good musical, fair, physical, and gold mine is fun. Other things around town. Busy times, but we'll continue to spread the word. Dragon Zoo's fun. Always good to return home to. When I do have the vacation mode for several months at a time, we'll just make announcements appropriately so we lead up to that. But for now, not quite signed in yet. So signed for yet. Not quite sworn in yet. So anyway, we're good to go. Let's get started here. The 8-ball, and for good fun, move over just a little bit. I guess this decent position. I mean, it's really about the audio, not so much of the visual here. I don't know. Is that good enough? All right. Would they 3, 2, 1? All right. Would they 3, 2, 1? We left off for a fun time tonight. I'm gonna be playing some more Soul Calibur after this, and sorry that's not great for streaming. There's no really to put the phone on the big bookshelf for the TV to be closer. I mean, I could try that, but it's not ideal. The phone pretty much drained the battery anyway. So watching, the last of the Your Honor. Shit, did I put the water away? I don't think so. Let me just double check something in the kitchen. I'll be right back, and we will begin. And yeah, Your Honor, Soul Calibur, things off stream, but stream in mind. But lots of great things to come for the stream, like I said, make up for MIA activity. Give me 1 second, just had to check something that I didn't quite finish up. Shall return. Alexa, play Ready for the Storm.
Shuffling Ready for the Storm and similar songs on Amazon Music.
Alexa, volume 6. Turn off in 2 minutes.
Okay, I'll stop playing in 2 minutes.
Yeah, 3 Alexas might be a little excessive. Chapter 33, finally back to Micro. Edge of Tantalus, 31st of October, 10:15 a.m. We'll pick it up right from there, and, now. Karen King was curled up in a fetal position inside the crop of the myna bird, holding her breath. Oh yeah, Erica, something else happened to her, trying to remember exactly, but yeah, another way. And Karen actually swallowed by the bird, that's right. The muscular walls of the crop pressed in on her, clamping her in place so that she couldn't move. The walls were slimy, slick, and smelled foul. However, there were no digestive juices in the crop. It was simply a bag for holding food, before the food was passed down into the rest of the digestive system. Okay. Excellent. Boom, 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 boom. She knew the bird was flying because she felt the regular thump-thump of the bird's pectoralis muscles driving its wings. She got her arms around her face and pushed outward, and managed to open a space for her nose and mouth. She took a breath. The air smelled horrible, with an acid stench of rotting insects, but at least it was air. Not much air, though. Almost immediately it became stifling hot, and she began to pant. A wave of claustrophobia came over her. She wanted to scream. With an act of will, she tried to calm herself. If she began to scream and struggle, she would use up the air quickly and would suffocate. The only way to stay alive was to stay calm, move sparingly, and try to make the air last as long as possible. She straightened her spine and pushed her legs out. This stretched the crop and opened up a little more space. Even so, she was running out of air. She tried to get her knife in her hand, but she tucked it down deep in her hip pocket. She couldn't reach the knife. The muscular walls of the bird's crop held her arm back. Damn, gotta get that knife. Right then, she vowed to hang her knife around her neck in the future, if there was a future. She drove her right arm downward, fighting against the rubbery walls that surrounded her. She forced her fingertips into her pocket and let her breath out with a whoosh, gulped in nasty air, and coughed. Her fingertips closed on a bottle in her pocket. What was this? It was the spray bottle, filled with beetle spray. Rick had filled it. A weapon. She grimaced and dragged the bottle out. At that moment, the bird maneuvered in flight. The crop tightened, the muscles squeezing the breath out of her lungs with a whoosh. A sensation of weightlessness came over her, a sense of falling. Then came a lurch and a bump. The bird had landed. She lost consciousness. The myna had returned to the same spot where it had caught Karen, looking for more food. It stared at Rick Hutter, cocking its head. Rick recognized the black streak on its bill. The same bird. It had eaten Karen. No way of knowing if she was still alive, but she might be. He waved the harpoon in front of him and advanced toward the bird. "Come and get me, you cowardly bastard!" The Maasai thrust. That was what he had to do to this bird. A young Maasai warrior, a boy of 13 or 14, can kill a lion with a spear. It's doable, he told himself. It's all about technique. The bird hopped toward him. He watched, judging the distance, timing his move, planning what he would do with his body, the angle of the harpoon. He would have to use the animal's own strength and weight against itself, as Maasai hunters do with lions. The Maasai hunter provokes the lion to charge him, and at the last instant He plants the butt of his spear in the ground, with the point angled toward the lion, and he kneels behind the spear. The lion runs onto the spear and impales itself. Same for bears, really. You've seen that in The Edge and other references. The bird struck at him with its beak. As the strike came, Rick jammed the harpoon's butt at an angle into the ground with the point aimed upward at the bird. He took his hand off the harpoon and threw himself forward, diving under the bird's chest to get out of the way. The harpoon caught the bird in the neck as the bird pecked down at Rick. With a barbed tip honed to greater fitness than a surgical needle and drenched with poison, the weapon pierced the bird's neck, breaking through the skin, and the barb stuck there. The bird backed off with the harpoon dangling from its neck. It shook its head, trying to dislodge the harpoon, while Rick crawled away. He sat up and drew his machete. "Come on, fight!" he shouted at the bird. Karen heard Rick's voice. It brought her to her senses. She had passed out momentarily. She started hyperventilating, drawing air into her lungs, but she couldn't get enough to breathe. Prickles of light flashed in her eyes, a sign of oxygen starvation. She became aware of the spray bottle clutched in her fist. She pulled the trigger and felt a horrible burning sensation as the chemicals surged out and spread around her. The muscles squeezed tighter, and the stars turned into fog, and then into nothing. The mina wasn't happy. The harpoon had pricked it, and there were unpleasant sensations in its crop. It vomited. Karen King landed in the moss, and the bird took off. She was unconscious. Rick knelt by Karen and felt her neck for a pulse, and discovered that her heart was still beating. He placed his mouth on hers and drove a breath into her lungs. With a rasping sound, she took a breath on her own. She coughed, and her eyes opened. "Oh, keep breathing, Karen. You're okay." She still gripped the spray bottle. Her hand was locked around it. Rick pried her hand open and released the bottle. Then he dragged her under a fern. There, he helped her to sit up, and then he cradled her in his arms. "Take deep breaths," he said. He pulled a strand of hair off Karen's face and smoothed her hair. He didn't know where the birds were, whether they were still hunting in the area or had moved on, but their screams had grown more distant. He propped Karen against a stem and sat beside her, drawing his knees up. He kept his arms around her. Other couple things I am thinking about. Dead by Daylight, we're going to say goodbye to, I think. Just a few killer rounds, and we probably won't be playing that again anytime soon. Just got to uninstall it for the first time, basically, since I reinstalled it. And also, I'm trying the Doom game. Never quite got through that. My old computer was basically unplayable, so we're going to maybe take a look at that. Appreciate it a bit. And then there's also Star Siege Dead Zone, Season 1 starting. Then I also have some Twitch drops. Not really concerned about that, but just to experience it properly on good internet, maybe we'll give it another shake, since I did have the more exclusive look at that at TwitchCon, a little early access and personal sentiment with that interaction. So we'll see. Thank you, Rick. Are you injured? Just a little dizzy. You weren't breathing. I thought you were. The cries of the birds faded. The flock had moved on. Rick made a quick survey of their remaining gear. Their survival was in real jeopardy. The truck was gone. Erica dead. Most of their supplies had gone over the cliff with the truck. The harpoon was gone as well. For the mina had flown off with the barb still lodged in its neck. The backpack lay near the pool. They still had the blowgun and the cuirass. A single machete lay on the ground. Danny Minot was nowhere to be seen. Yep, no Danny Minot there. But then they heard his voice coming from above. In his panic, he had climbed up a vine and had come out at the top of the rock. They saw him crouched up there, waving his good arm. "I see the great boulder! We're almost there!" And that is it for Chapter 33. Because we have such a long couple days MIA, kind of long. Well, for me at least, a lot of things happening, but not as long as, certain amounts of time can be, of course. But because of all that, yeah, we might as well continue, at least while I have battery left. I could charge the phone technically, but I don't know, we want to save a lot of great adventures for main show. 1250 stream celebration, great internet, so we'll be saving our energy for that after last night. I was a bit too tired to get that started so early today, but we'll save our energy for the one coming up next. The Opportunities, Tuesday, and Diablo 2, a little bit more tomorrow. Gonna be great. But for now, a really quick chapter, on to chapter 34. Nanogen, 31st of October, 10:20 a.m. It is Halloween morning then, and it's funny, July 30th, that's 3 months later, years ago, in the setting, of course, but still fun. We'll continue lurkers, love to chat with you even though it is a mobile stream, and we'll enjoy and make the most of it, get to our YouTube collection archive for micro readings, so good fun. And on we go. Drake had taken over the communications room. He was staring at the screen of the remote tracking system that had been pinging the hexapod truck. Right now, he was a little puzzled by what he saw on the screen. The crosshairs on the cliff face, indicating the approximate position of the truck, had suddenly shifted downward by 150 meters, by about 500 feet. At first, he suspected a system error, but as he watched and waited, the truck's location didn't change. It wasn't moving. He allowed himself a modest smile. Yes, it looked like the damn truck had fallen off the cliff. That had to be it. The truck had plunged down the cliff face. He knew that a micro-sized human body could survive any fall, any distance, but the fact that the truck wasn't moving meant that, at the very least, the truck had been damaged. It might be busted. The survivors would be in a total panic by now. He realized they weren't getting any closer to Tantalus, and the bends would be just starting to affect them. They would not be feeling exactly chipper. He got McKeel on his phone. Have you been to Tantalus? Yes. And? I didn't do anything. Didn't need to. They're not going to make Tantalus anyway. They took a tumble. Poor souls. Alright, nice quick chapter 34. I think we will finish up with chapter 35 for now. I am at 30% battery. We should have enough at least for this one. If anything special happens, we could always charge the phone probably on the computer. I don't really know if there's any access ports, but I could probably find something. I mean, I can always improvise, find an outlet or something for mobile streams, but we'll get to the main show here, main thing. I would just stream on one of these computers in the office here if I could, but actually I think they do have a webcam on some of these. Yeah, now that I actually look, it seems like 2 of these do have a webcam on the monitor. At least that's what it looks like it is. So, yeah, maybe we could do that. Just a quick login. I don't know, we could do basic Streamlabs. But, they don't like me installing stuff on the computer, so. Mobile is good for now, but we will consider that, if requested. On to chapter 35. Last for now, and I am going to do a little sound check just in between 3, 2, 1 for 35. Just in between 3, 2, 1 for 35. And we are on to Kalikimaki Industrial Park. 31st of October, 10:30 a.m. Lieutenant Dan Watanabe parked his brown Ford in the single, lone parking space marked Visitors. The painted metal building stood next to the skeleton of a half-finished warehouse on one side and an empty lot on the other side, dotted with thickets of underbrush. By the warehouse, he noticed an area covered with gravel. He walked over to it and picked up a few pieces. Crushed limestone. Interesting. It looked like the same stuff trapped in the P.I. Rodriguez's tires. He dropped a few pieces in his shirt pocket for Dorothy Gert to have a look at. The parking lot around Nanogen's building was full of cars. "How's business?" he said to the receptionist. "They don't tell me much." A coffee maker on a table diffused the sour smell of coffee that had been heating for hours. "Would you like me to make some coffee?" the receptionist asked. "I think you already did." The company's security chief walked in. Don McKeel was a heavy-set man packed with muscle. McKeel said, Any news on the missing students? Could we talk in your office? As they entered the main part of the building, they passed doors that were shut. Windows looked into rooms, but the windows were covered with black blinds on the inside. Why were the blinds all drawn? Why were they black? As he walked along, Dan Watanabe felt the presence of a hum, a vibration coming up through the floor. The hum meant there was a lot of AC electrical currents running in the building. For what? McKeel ushered Watanabe into his office, windowless. Watanabe noticed a photograph of a woman. Must be the guy's wife. 2 children. Just Kikis. Don't know what that means. He noticed a plaque on the wall. U.S. Marine Corps. Watanabe sat on a chair. Nice kids. I love 'em to death, McKeel said. You served in the Marines? Intel. That's cool. Chit-chat never hurts, and you can pick up things. We found your vice president, Allison Bender, he began. We know. She was very depressed. What got her depressed? She'd lost her boyfriend, Eric Jansen, who drowned. So, Miss Bender and Mr. Jansen were romantically connected, I take it, Watanabe said. He could feel the uneasiness of the man under the surface. Cop instinct. He went on. It's actually pretty hard for 7 people to vanish in these islands. I've called around to see if the students showed up anywhere, like Molokai. Everybody on Molokai knows everybody else on Molokai. If 7 kids from Massachusetts showed up there, the Molokai folks would be talking about it. Don't I know? I was born on Molokai, McKeel said. Watanabe noticed that he pronounced the name of the island in the old way, Molokai, with the glottal stop. It made him wonder if McKeel spoke any Hawaiian. People born on Molokai sometimes did speak Hawaiian. They learned it from their grandparents or from uncles, traditional teachers. Molokai is a beautiful place, Watanabe remarked. It's the old Hawaii. Hawaii. What's left of it. Watanabe changed the subject. Do you know a gentleman named Marcos Rodriguez? McKeel looked blank. No. How about Willie Fong, a lawyer up north of the freeway? Watanabe did not mention they were dead. McKeel picked it up anyway. Sure. He squinted, looked puzzled. The guys who got stabbed, right? Yes. In Fong's office. Fong, Rodriguez, and another man, still unidentified. McKeel seemed confused. He spread his hands out and said, What am I missing, Lieutenant? I don't know. Watanabe watched McKeel to see his reaction to that. McKeel seemed surprised and irritated, but he stayed calm. Watanabe was pleased to see that the security chief fidgeted in his chair. He's nervous, Watanabe thought. What I know about those murders, Don McKeel went on, is what I saw on the news. What makes you think they were murders? It's what they said on the news. McKeel paused. Actually, they said it was suicide, Watanabe said. Did you think it was murder? McKeel didn't take it casually. Lieutenant, is there some reason why you want to talk to me about this? Fong or Rodriguez weren't doing any work for Nanogen, were they? Are you kidding? Nanogen would never hire losers like that, McKeel answered. Don McKeel knew very well what had happened to Fong and Rodriguez. 19 security bots had disappeared on the night of the break-in. They had swarmed onto an intruder, cut into his body, and circulated in the man's bloodstream, slicing open arteries from the inside. But the bots weren't supposed to do this. They weren't programmed to kill anybody. They were supposed to photograph the intruder and cut the skin lightly, making the intruder bleed and thus leave a blood trace behind. And they were supposed to trigger a silent alarm. That was all. Nothing dangerous, Certainly not lethal. But somebody had programmed the bots to kill. Then Drake did it, McKeel thought. The bots had sliced the intruder to ribbons, then had cut their way out of the man's body and jumped from that man to the next man like fleas. Bloodthirsty, lethal fleas. A burglar and his friends had gotten themselves killed. Accidents happen more often to assholes. But what did this detective know? McKeel wasn't sure, and it made him nervous. He decided to get tough. He leaned forward and put his voice into official mode and said, "Is this company or any of its employees the subject of a criminal investigation?" Watanabe let a significant silence elapse. "No," he finally answered. "Not at this time." "I'm glad to hear that, Lieutenant, because this company is highly ethical. The founder, Vincent Drake, is known for putting his own money into cures for orphan diseases. Diseases that nobody else bothers to cure because they aren't profitable. Mr. Drake is a good man who puts his heart where his money is." Lieutenant Dan Watanabe listened to this with a neutral face. "You mean he puts his money where his heart is?" "That's what I said," McKeel answered, gazing back at Watanabe. Watanabe placed his card on the security man's desk and wrote a phone number on it with his pen. "That's my cell. Call it any time if anything comes up. I think Mr. Drake is expecting me." Then Drake sat behind his desk, leaning back in an executive chair. An oriental rug covered the floor, an antique. The air held a pleasant aroma of cigar. Given the pleasance of the aroma, Watanabe concluded that the cigar had cost more than $10. The office had no windows. Soft panel lighting, he noticed, through a side door. A private bathroom with marble fixtures. Interesting to see that inside a warehouse. The guy took care of himself. "We're very distressed by the recent events," Drake said. "We've been hoping you could help us." "We're doing our best," Watanabe said. "I just wanted to get more background on the disappearances." "Sure." Watanabe had been enjoying the portrait of Drake on the wall behind him. It wasn't bad, maybe a little pretentious, but lively. "Can you tell me what your company does?" "Basically, we make small robots and use them to explore nature as a way of discovering new drugs to save human lives." "How small?" Drake shrugged and put his thumb and forefinger half an inch apart. Watanabe squinted. "You mean half an inch? Like the size of a peanut?" "Maybe a little smaller," Drake answered. "How much smaller?" "Somewhat. 1 millimeter, say." Drake gave a crisp smile. "That's barely feasible." "But have you done it?" "Done what?" "Made robots 1 millimeter in size. We're getting into proprietary areas." Drake leaned back. "Have you had any industrial accidents with your robots?" "Accidents?" Drake frowned, and then broke into a chuckle. "Yes, frequently." "Anybody get hurt?" "It's the other way around," Drake laughed. "People step on the robots by accident. The robots always lose." He sighed and looked at his watch. "I have a meeting." "Sure, just one thing." Watanabe would describe what he'd seen in the microscope, but he would not show Drake a photograph of the device, because a photo was evidence, and you don't flash evidence, so he kept things vague. "We've become aware of a device, pretty small, that appears to have what might be a propeller and cutting blades. It might be able to fly or swim in somebody's bloodstream. Is this an antigen product? Drake took a moment to reply. Watanabe thought the moment lasted a beat too long. No, Drake answered. We don't make robots like that. Does anybody make them? Drake gave Watanabe a careful look. Where was this cop going? I think you're describing a theoretical device. What kind? Well, it would be a surgical micro-robot. A what? A surgical microbot, also called a surgibot. It's a very small robot used for medical procedures. In theory, a surgibot could be made small enough to circulate in a patient's bloodstream. Equipped with scalpels, a swarm of surgibots could perform microsurgery. They could be injected into a patient, and the surgibots would swim through the bloodstream to the target tissue. Surgibots could cut arterial plaques from the inside of an artery, for example, or a swarm of surgibots could hunt down metastasized cancer cells. The surgibots would kill the cancer cells one at a time, thus defeating the cancer. But as of now, surgibots are a dream, not a reality. So you're not actually building these, what you call, surgibots? Not like that, no. I'm sorry, I don't understand, Watanabe said. Drake sighed. We're getting into an area that's very sensitive. Why? Nanogen is doing research. For you. For me, Watanabe said, looking mystified. You pay taxes? Sure. Nanogen is working for you. Oh, so you're doing government. We can't go there, Lieutenant. They were doing secret government work, classified, something with small robots. Drake was warning him off, hinting he'd have trouble with the government if he pursued this. Fine. Abruptly, Watanabe changed gears. Why did your vice president jump off his boat? What? What do you mean? Eric Jansen was an experienced boater. He knew to stay with his boat even in surf. He jumped into the surf for a reason. Why did he jump? Drake stood up, his face flushed. I have no idea what you're getting at. We asked you to find our missing students. You haven't found anybody. We've lost 2 key executives. You haven't given us a damn bit of help there either. Watanabe stood up. Sir, we did find Miss Bender. We're still looking for Eric Jansen. He took out his wallet and nudged out his business card. Drake took the card and sighed as he looked at it, and an unpleasant expression fitted across his face. To be frank, we are disappointed with the Honolulu police. He let the card flutter down to his desk. One wonders what you actually do. Well, sir, the Honolulu Police Department is older than the New York Police Department. I didn't know if you knew that. We'll just keep working our cases like we always do, sir. We've got 5 more of them. Dorothy Gert laid the photographs out for Watanabe on the lab bench. They showed the same devices, each with a propeller inside a housing and gooseneck with blades. I found them in the Asian John Doe. A smelly job. How did you find them, Dorothy? They're really small. Dorothy Gert flashed him a cool smile of triumph and opened a drawer and held up a heavy object. It was an industrial horseshoe magnet. I swiped it over the wounds. Darn thing is heavy. She put the magnet aside, then showed him a blow-up photo of one of the robots. The bot had been split cleanly in a perfect cutaway view. Incredibly small chips and circuitry were visible, and something that looked like a battery, a drive shaft, gears. The thing is cut perfectly in half. How did you do that, Dorothy? It was simple. I mounted in an epoxy block, just like a tissue sample. Then I sliced it with a microtome. Same thing you do with tissue samples. Dorothy's microtome, with an ultra-sharp blade, had split the microbot right down the middle. Note this feature, Dan. He bent over the photo and followed his finger to a box-like object in the guts of the robot. A small lowercase n was printed on the box. So, he said, the CEO lied to me. He wanted to slap Dorothy on the back, but stopped himself at the last moment. Dorothy Gert didn't seem like the person who would welcome the gesture. Instead, he offered her a slight nod of the head in the Japanese mode of respect. A family habit. Excellent work, Dorothy. Humph, she snorted. Her work was never anything but excellent. Alright, on to Tantalus Crater, Chapter 36. Next time for Micro, likely the week following this one at some point. We shall see. I'm going to just enjoy a few other things here. Say take care of the house and Sentry's ship. But, yes, tomorrow, return to Diablo 2 Resurrected with Skeletons in the Desert. Wednesday, a full day of hunt for sure. Tuesday, a full day of hunt for sure. Wednesday, hunt, maybe Diablo Day. Thursday, we can get to more things, like I've been mentioning. Friday, the same. Saturday, the same. Sunday, we'll wrap things up. But Saturday will be the last big celebration. 1,250 streams, thanks to 670 Dragon Knights. And Gaming Grim Reaper for the cheer of 100 and our new champion of the month. Looking forward to more great stuff very soon to come. Until tomorrow then, with Diablo and Skeletons first up. One thing at a time. We shall enjoy each and every bit. Till then, eyes open, good night. Hope you enjoyed a solid 45 minutes for now. And we shall return. Till then, guys, good night. And we shall return. Till then, guys.